Big questions.
If God created everything, who created God? Welcome to Big Questions. Today I'm joined with Daniel from Bright Light.
What's happening? Good to see you. It's been a long time, Andy. You're looking
It has
good.
been quite a long time.
You're looking good.
Thank you.
I like your hair.
Thank you. It's
I
my
like your
lockdown
face.
project. Oh, gosh. Well, this isn't Flatter Andy. It's Big Questions, Daniel. Gosh, we can chat after the recording. So today on Big Questions, we're looking at who created God.
Oh, man.
What does that mean to you?
Who created God? I know this one.
Yeah.
It was actually Super God that created God.
Sick. Then who created that guy?
It was Super God that created Super God.
So then who created Super God?
This is the crazy one.
You see?
Mega God.
That's why it's such a difficult question to answer. So Daniel, how do you
man,
deal with this topic?
It's a really interesting one, and we get that quite a bit in schools and when we're chatting with people, because we talk a lot so much how God created the world that we live in, that God created the universe, that God created us, and then the follow-up question, okay, so God created that, then who created him? And the reality is, a lot of people would call that kind of questioning a category of fallacy. And let me give you an example. So if I ask you, what does pink taste like? How would you answer that?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
exactly.
that's like
Because
a weird question.
pink is something that we look at, it's not something that we can taste, it's something that we see.
Yeah.
And that is the same thing when it comes to asking the question, who created God? You see, we can only ask who made something out of things that were made. So for example, who made your trainers?
These are Nike trainers.
Who made your socks? Who made my iPhone? Because those are things that have actually been created. Now God was not created. God was not made. I mean, let me just read you this Bible verse that we find in the book of Psalms. And it says this, Psalms 90 verse 2, before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world. So before the mountains existed, before the world even existed, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. So that means forever you were God. So you've always existed. And actually believing that, we see time as this linear thing. You start, there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end, and actually God exists outside of that. He exists outside of our time frame. So he's always been there, he's always existed, which blows my mind constantly.
It's crazy.
That he was there from the get-go, and he knows about everything and still chooses to be friends with us and chooses to be in a relationship with us.
As soon as we start talking about time and how God is completely out with it, like it's something he created, so he's not subject to it. And it's, oh man, it blows my mind
Because
whenever we think about that.
he wouldn't be God.
Yeah, he wouldn't be God.
Because he would have to have a beginning, and therefore there's no longer God. But the fact that he's outside of that, he's always been there, he's always existed. He was not created, he wasn't made, he was always there.
Yeah, and he can see everything that's coming, he's seen everything that's been. He's like, if he's looking at time, he can see like 1 second from now ahead of where we are. And he's there with us, so when we're in like really difficult times, he's watching and he can see the end, he can see that he's going to help us through it, he can see everything. That's for me, that's where the real comfort is, when you can see that God is looking at all of time before him, and he's with us in this moment, but he can also see our future and see our past, and he still loves us.
So crazy.
It's mind-blowing.
And that's why I can say, and for you that are watching at home, that there is hope. That's why we know that there is hope, because in the midst of the storms, in the midst of all the stuff that we go through, we know that God will be there with us. And he gives us an opportunity to whether we want to choose to accept him or we choose to reject him, which again, that's a great demonstration of love.
So thank you so much for answering that question, Daniel. If you guys have any more questions, please drop us a message, get into our DMs, and we'll answer as many of you guys as we can. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Bye.